everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. If you're new to this channel, thank you so much for stopping by, and I really do hope that you click on the subscribe button. In this video, I'll be sharing with you guys how I made this beautiful detachable top. So let's get started. Of course, the first thing to do is to draft the pattern for this. Okay, so I'm going to be measuring out the waist measurement. We don't need it for this, but I'm doing this for the sake of those learning to draft for the first time. So I marked out my waist measurement and then the bust point measurement, also known as shoulder to nipple. And then from that point, I moved up by 2 inches to get my chest line. Alright, so go ahead and do the same thing on your pattern paper. So once this is done, we are moving over to the shoulder. So I divided my shoulder measurement into two. I made a mark, and then from that point I came down by 1 inch for my shoulder slant, and then I connected to the shoulder to the midpoint. Okay, so the next thing to do is to connect the shoulder slant to the chest line. Okay, simply go right ahead and do the same thing. Now we are going to be measuring that part, and then I will divide it into two, and then on that point I will go in by 0.5, and then I'll be marking out my armhole curve. Alright, so the next thing to do is to mark out my neck measurement. So I use 3 inches by 1 inch because I'm working with the back bodies first. So after this, I'm moving over to my measurement. So my bust measurement is divided by 4. Okay, and then I added my sewing allowance. Then I also marked it out on my bust point. So this is all we need for the pattern. So I'll be cutting this out now. Okay, and then I'll be placing on my fabric. Now remember, we are working with the back bodies first, so whenever you are placing on your fabric, you are going to be adding your zipper allowance to the fabric when you are cutting. Okay, alright guys, so I'm done cutting the fabric. Right, so I'm using this same pattern for the front bodies. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be making a curve right from from the bust point into the chest line. Now this totally depends on you. You can go up from the chest line by some inches, or you can come down by some inches. Okay, but I'm using the chest line for this, so I'm just going to be connecting it with a curve right there. So do whatever works for you. Okay, so right after that, I'm going to be adjusting the neck measurement. Remember, we worked with the back, so I'm going to be coming down by 2 inches for the front. Okay, and then I'm going to be retracing the curve, and I'll be cutting it out. Now remember, this is going to be on fold because we are working with the front. Okay, so that done, I'm going to be placing it on my fabric, and I will be cutting that out. Okay, that is done now guys. So the next thing to do is to move over to the sleeve. Now for this sleeve pattern, I have this sleeve pattern already. If you're interested in learning how to draft your sleeve pattern, I have a video on it. I'm going to be dropping the link in the description box. Alright, so I'm simply going to be dividing this sleeve into 4 equal parts because I'm going to be using the slash and spread method. Alright, so I'm going to be dividing it into 4 equal parts. Okay, and then I will label each part, and then I'll be cutting out. Now you have to take note that as I'm cutting out, I'm not cutting it all the way, so I'm going to be leaving a little bit at the upper part so I can use that to extend the pattern paper. So once this is done, I'll be placing on my fabric. fabric, and then you can see that I'm securing it with the pin, and as I'm spreading, I'll be measuring out the spacing in between. So this part totally depends on how full you want your sleeve to be. If you want it fuller than this, then you have to spread it wider than this. Okay. So that is done now. I've already cut out two pieces of the sleeve. Okay, so the next thing to do is to start with our sewing. Now you can see that I've already cut out the lining for this as well. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to turn the neck of this and then the lower part. I'll be doing the same thing for the back as well. So let me quickly do that and then I'll show you. Okay guys, so this is done. So the next thing to do is to join the zipper allowance for the back. Okay, so after joining the zipper allowance, then I'm going to be joining the shoulder of both the front and the back. Alright guys, so you can see that is done now and ironed. Now the next thing to do is to take the body measurement. So I'm going to be pinning both the front and the back patterns together, and then I'll be taking my measurements on the side. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing is to turn the lower part of the sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to be bending the lower part of both sleeves, and then I will be joining the side for my measurement, and then I will be attaching to the fabric. Hold on guys, so this is what we have at the end of the day. Kindly give this video a thumbs up, please share my video, and most importantly subscribe to my channel. Thank you.